everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited. We are here for day one of the historical romance readathon. This is going on from today, May 9th through May 15th, so an entire week. And I'm just so excited because we have not had a round of this since it was like early mid-December. It was like a wintry Christmas themed round of the readathon. This is hosted by Jess from Peace Love Books, Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers, and Lisa from Remarkably Lisa. I will of course link all of their channels down in the description below. So my main goal for this specific readathon is to read from either completely new to me authors or authors who I have only read one of their books and I'm dying to read more from their backlist. So the first book that I decided to go with, I actually started this late last night, is Nobody's Duke by Scarlett Scott. This is book one in her League of Dukes series. I first heard about this book from Ava from Ava's Romance Books. I highly recommend that you all follow her, by the way. I will of course link her down in the description as well. She's just such a wonderful person and I adore her content so much. And so I heard her talking about this book and comparing it to, again, The Magic by Lisa Kleypas, and I'm about 60% of the way through this book, and I can confirm to you guys that this book definitely has very similar vibes to that book. So if you are someone like me that adored Again the Magic, like Again the Magic was my top favorite historical romance that I read last year, so clearly I love it a lot. I would highly recommend checking out this book as well. So let's go a bit into the plot. We have our heroine Araminta. She goes by Era, so that's how I'm going to refer to her, and then Clayton, he goes by Clay, so I'm going to refer to him as Clay. So basically 8 years before the main story starts, they fell in love with each other. I believe they were both in their early 20s. Clay is the bastard son of a duke, and so they both knew that their romance was pretty forbidden, so they would meet in secret. They decide to run away together and get married because Clay tries to approach Era's father and he just straight up rejects him multiple times. And so then Era, packs a bag, she goes to their meeting place, but Clay never shows up. And so obviously she's very hurt by this huge betrayal. And so she actually ends up marrying Freddie, who is a duke. They have a son together. So now it's 8 years later, and Freddie unfortunately has been murdered. And the same people that murdered Freddie are now after Era and her son Edward. And so the government essentially assigns Clay to be her bodyguard. And so now Clay is living with Era and her son Edward, so there's definitely forced proximity going on. Essentially what we learn pretty early on in the book is that Clay believes that Era betrayed him, which basically forced him to leave England and he went to the continent. And then what we know from Era's POV, like I said, is that he betrayed her. So there's a lot of pain, a lot of angst between the two of them. And they're both just very angry with each other, but they also can't deny how much they still love each other and are still attracted to one another. So that is the basic premise. And oh my god, like I said, there's just so much angst between these two. Like, this is a true hate to love romance. I love these kind of second chance romances where the couple fell in love, they now like hate each other's guts, but they also can't deny their attraction to each other. And so, like I said, I'm at the 60% mark, and there is still definitely a lot of anger between the two of them. I'm kind of surprised that we're this late in the book and they still haven't had a conversation about what actually happened 8 years ago. They've been having fights and arguments and discussions and things like that, and it's like they almost get to the point where they reveal what actually happened, but it hasn't happened yet. And so I will say that's like a little bit frustrating that there's been so much miscommunication going on between the two of them, but the writing is just stunning in my opinion. I can't stop reading this. Like, I'm about to go on a walk with my mom and our dog Chloe, but if I wasn't doing that, I would for sure jump back into this and probably read the rest of it in one go. The audiobook is also really well done, by the way. I found all the audiobooks for this series on Hoopla, and Rosalind Landor is the narrator. She narrates all of the Bridgerton books. She's just fantastic. But yeah, I am just so excited to see how this romance plays out. I can't wait for these two to actually talk about what happened and to stop hating each other. Yeah, but it's great. It's really, like I said, the writing is great. The pacing is really well done as well. And then in terms of what I'm gonna read next for the readathon, I'm not sure. I have a couple of books checked out on my Libby app. I also have a few physical books that I'd like to get to this week, but we'll see. Like I have Magnate by Joanna Shoup. This is book 1 in her Knickerbocker Club series. This is one of the books that Joanna Shoup said she's most proud of when we did our author interview with her. I did that on Jess's channel. So I'll link that live show down in the description below. I loved doing that interview with her. But yeah, I'm just so excited to read this because Joanna Shoup herself is so proud of this one. I also want to get to Bound to a Warrior by Donna Fletcher. Once again, this would be a completely new to me author. I've heard really good things about this book and the cover is stunning. And then I also have Love in the Afternoon by Lisa Kleypas. This is the 5th and final book in the Hathaway series. So this would be the last book that I would have to read in this series. And I'm excited to get to this one because this is going to be about Beatrix. But at the same time, I don't want this series to be over. We'll see if I get these books done this week. I want to at least get to one of these. And then, like I said, I have a lot of audiobooks checked out on my Hoopla. I have a book by Shanna Galen. I also want to get to a Courtney Milan book. I'd love to read a Beverly Jenkins book. I've just got a lot going on my TBR, so we'll see what I actually read. But yeah, I'll definitely give you guys a final update about Nobody's Duke, but I can tell you right now it's most likely going to be a 5-star read. I'm just absolutely obsessed with it so far. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys at some point tomorrow. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is just about 2 p.m. I'm actually getting ready to head out to work. But I have quite the reading update for you guys. I got a lot done late last night. So I finished Nobody's Duke by Scarlett Scott, gave it 5 stars. Nobody is surprised. This is literally everything that I want from an angsty second chance romance. Oh my God, this was just amazing. Like I said, you definitely need to read this if you read and enjoyed Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. I definitely got a lot of similar vibes from this story. And I remember saying in my last update that I was a bit frustrated by the, I guess, miscommunication going on between Clay and Era, but I have to say that upon finishing the book, I feel like it made sense. Like, I feel like these were both very proud characters, and it made sense that it took them so long to really talk out what actually happened 8 years ago. And it also just made sense for the pacing of the story. And I feel like what made all of the angst all the more worth it for me is that we still got a decent amount of page time seeing Clay and Era be happy together and be a family with Era's son, Edward. And so I just felt like this book was perfectly done. I am so excited for the next book because the heroine of the next book was kind of the villain at the end of this one. So I'm very intrigued to see how that's gonna play out. Yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. By the way, you can find all of Scarlett Scott's books on Kindle Unlimited, and then quite a few of her audiobooks are on Hoopla. I think I already mentioned that. Later last night, I actually deviated from my historical romance TBR. I started my reread of Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. This is book 3 in the Throne of Glass series. We are doing the SJM along right now. So for the first half of May, we are reading Heir of Fire, and we are also reading The Assassin and the Desert, which is one of the novellas that's a part of The Assassin's Blade. That's a bind-up of prequel novellas. The live show for Heir of Fire is May 15th. I will be sure to post a link for that live show down in the description so you can check that out after the fact if you are interested. But yeah, I'm just having a good old time with this reread. This book is really where the series expands, the world in particular, and we're following a lot more characters. We're being introduced to new characters in this book, and I'm just having a good time rereading it for the first time. So yeah, I'm on page 106, just about like 18% of the way through. So I read that last night, and then late last night I actually started another historical romance. I started Third Sons, A Charm by Shanna Galen. I'm really excited about this one. I've read one book by Shanna Galen before, that was Lord and Lady Spy, which is definitely inspired by the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith. that was a really, really well done marriage in trouble story. I think I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, maybe because of like the pacing or something. But this book in particular, I'm definitely being influenced by Jess and Lisa. They both loved this book as well as the next book in this series. So I'll definitely continue on with the series at some point, but I am loving this. I'm like 36% of the way through. Just to tell you a little bit about the premise, this is another bodyguard romance. I mean, will I ever get tired of that trope? No, because that trope is just amazing. But we have Ewan. He is the third son of an earl, and we're seeing at the beginning of the book that he is working as a bodyguard, like at a gambling den of some kind, and then this duke approaches him to potentially be the bodyguard of his daughter, because his daughter Lori, who is the heroine, she is desperately trying to marry this man Francis, but everybody in Lori's life knows that Francis is just after her dowry, but she can't see that. And so this duke hires Ewan to be her bodyguard and to basically keep Francis away from her. And this is just so fun so far. It's definitely got a Grumpy Sunshine vibe to it. Ewan's an interesting character as well because he has dyslexia, or what is described as dyslexia. Of course, they didn't have that terminology back in the Regency era. So because he has so much trouble reading and he wasn't given the right resources to help him with that, a lot of people in his life think that he's stupid. I'm really just loving the dynamic between these two. Shanna Galen's writing is really easy to get into. I just kind of want to keep reading, but I can't because, like I said, I have to get going to work. So hopefully I will be able to finish this at some point tonight. We'll just have to see. I think I have about like 7 hours left of the audiobook, and I've been listening to it at like 3.5 times speed while following along with my ebook. So yeah, that's gonna be it for now, and I will definitely talk to you guys tomorrow. It's Wednesday, my dudes. It's late on Wednesday. It's like 11 p.m. I have 2 books that I need to update you guys on. Also, I made the light green back here because I'm currently rereading Heir of Fire, and I'm just here for that vibe. If you're curious, I'm on page like 200 right now in this. The actual book is over there, but this is just the dust jacket. And I'm having a good time. I'm vibing with the story. I just read the scene where Manon meets Abraxos for the first time, and I love that scene so much. Easily one of my favorite scenes in the whole book, and it might be one of my favorite scenes in the series. Just so good. But I have some things that I want to share with you guys. Kind of an unboxing, but I've already taken most of this stuff out of the box. I did order some skincare stuff from Ulta. Most of this is just restocking my supply because I have been finishing like all of my skincare products at the same time, which is inconvenient. But first, I have a couple products by The Ordinary. I really like this brand. For one thing, their products are very affordable and they work. So the first one I have is their glycolic acid 7% toning solution, and let me show you the way that this is packaged. So this is what the bottle looks like, and then you have to put on the actual cap itself. This lasted me a long time. I really like this stuff. It's just really great at, you know, kind of exfoliating the skin and toning it and all those things that we need. Then this is actually a new product to me. This is the 50 milligram CBD eye cream by e.l.f. Cosmetics. Now, I mean, this could be just a gimmick because I don't know if CBD can actually do anything for the skin. But it says practice inner peace with this 50 milligram CBD eye cream infused with CBD and hyaluronic acid, known to soothe and plump. Hyaluronic acid is great for moisturizing the skin, by the way. And peptide complex, known to help brighten under the eyes. It's a total awakening. And so one of the things that I do appreciate is how this is packaged, because it just comes in a tube. And something that I've learned is when it comes to skincare, you really want to try to get products that come in a tube like this or come in a pump. I'll show you one of the other products I got. This is the Differin Restorative Night Moisturizer. As you can see, it comes in a pump. And what's great about that is that the ingredients aren't being exposed to the air or to like the germs on your skin. Like when you have a tub of something and you have to constantly like put your finger in it to get the product out, like that contaminates the product. And so when you have products that are like this, that are in tubes or pumps, it basically just keeps the ingredients in these products potent. And yeah, so I just thought I would throw that little bit of information in there. I also got the Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Serum by CeraVe. I really love this stuff. The only thing is that it only comes in a 1 fluid ounce size. So I kind of go through these pretty quickly, but I do really, really like these. I also got Buffet by The Ordinary. This is serum, though this is much more of like a liquidy serum than this CeraVe stuff. This is more like a cream, whereas this one is like actually like a serum. This stuff is amazing. I think this is also The Ordinary's probably their most expensive product. It's like 15 bucks. And it just has a lot of different like hyaluronic acid, amino acids, bioderivatives. There's all kinds of good stuff in here. It says visibly targets surface hydration, fine lines, wrinkles, dynamic lines, textural irregularities. And I have to say this stuff is pretty amazing as well. So I'm really glad that I finally got another one of these. And then I just got my Voluminous Lash Paradise mascara by L'Oreal. I have not used a different mascara in years at this point. I just keep replacing this because this is literally the best mascara I've ever used. It's fan-freaking-tastic. So yeah, that's all my Ulta stuff. I did get a pre-order from Barnes & Noble. I pre-ordered Seasonal Fears by Shawnee McGuire. This is the follow-up to Middle Game by Shawnee McGuire. It's not really a direct sequel. It just takes place in the same world. I'm definitely gonna have to reread Middle Game because I read that back in 2020 and it's a pretty complex science fiction world going on. So yeah, I'm excited though that I pre-ordered this and that it came in. And then I have my Book of the Month box. I am not sponsored. I wish that I was because I'm poor. But to be honest with you guys, I have enjoyed the subscription service, but at the same time, I don't know if it's the subscription service for me because I find that more often than not, I tend to skip a month. So that means that I don't pick a book and I just skip the month and then my credit rolls over to the next month. But this book did sound really good. This is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. So this is a gothic mystery thriller, takes place in Mexico, and it has been compared to Mexican Gothic and Rebecca. So I am very intrigued by that. And I've been hearing nothing but pretty positive reviews about this, so I am intrigued. Once I'm in the mood to read another Gothic thriller, I'll definitely pick this up. So let's actually get to my reading update. So late last night, I finished Third Sons of Charm by Shanna Galen. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Let's focus on what I loved about this book first. I really adored the dynamic between Ewan and Lori, our hero and heroine. I was just obsessed with the grumpy sunshine dynamic as well as the bodyguard trope. I will always be trash for the bodyguard trope. Now that I'm thinking about it, the next book I have to talk about with you guys was also a bodyguard romance. So clearly that's my mood right now. The last 3 books that I've read have been bodyguard romances. But yeah, so I was just loving this book. Also, there is this secondary marriage and trouble romance kind of going on that is about Lori's parents, who are the Duke and Duchess. I loved that because I mean, I'm always trash for a marriage and trouble romance, and it was sprinkled enough throughout the book that it didn't take away any focus from the main romance. But I just loved it so much. It was really, really good. So unfortunately, the last 30% of this dragged so much. I was getting to the point where I was just bored and I could not wait for the book to be over, unfortunately. It just really sucks because the first 70% of the book was so amazing and charming, and you know, also with Ewan's learning disability, Lori helping him out with that and them falling for each other, like, and of course the bodyguard thing, like I mentioned, like there were so many amazing things going on in the first, like I said, 70% of the book, and I'm just so sad that the last 30% really let me down. So I did end up giving this 4 stars. Let's move on to the next book I picked up, which is Scandalous Passions by Nicola Davidson, one of my erotic historical romance queens. Love her so much. This is an FFM romance that takes place in medieval Scotland. For some reason, it's hard for me to summarize this plot in a succinct way, but I'm gonna try my best. So we have Janet. She has been a mistress to the King of Scotland for quite a few years, but he is now married and his new wife has forced him to get rid of all of his mistresses. And so he decides to give Janet her own property, and he gives her a bodyguard, Sir Lachlan, who has been working for the king for quite a few years. Lachlan has been pining for Janet for a while as well. Then we have Marjorie, our second heroine. Basically, the king assigns Janet to be her guardian. Marjorie has been living in a convent for most of her life. And so yeah, now these three people are living under one roof together. It's made more clear in the book itself. I just didn't want to harp too much on the plot. But yeah, let's just say that sparks fly pretty quickly. This is only like a 6.5 hour audiobook, so things have to get moving pretty quickly. And I ended up giving this 4 stars. It's definitely not my favorite Nicola Davidson book that I've ever read, but I do think that overall it was a very solid FFM erotic historical romance. I liked the medieval Scottish setting. I liked all 3 characters. I thought that the plot was interesting enough. And there's tons and tons of steamy scenes for sure. I also liked that Janet is a femdom, and then Lachlan, our hero, he has a speech impediment, and so it's really lovely to see Marjorie and Janet interact with him in terms of like his insecurities with that. And then Marjorie is a plus-sized heroine, so I thought there was some pretty good representation in this, and yeah, it was just solid. Not quite sure what I want to read next, because I have some physical books here that I shared with you guys in my first update. Then I do have a couple of like audiobooks on Hoopla that are going to be returning within the next few days. So I'll just do some brainstorming and then I'll let you guys know what I end up going with in tomorrow's. Happy Friday, everyone. It's just about 10 p.m. on Friday, so it's kind of late. Also, I'm wearing my historical romance readathon t-shirt. I mean, of course I had to wear this week. So I did not feel the need to update you guys yesterday because I was just working on a book and I finished it last night. That is To Covet a Countess by Sapna Bog. This is book 2 in her Elusive Lords series, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. You might recall, if you've been following me for a little while, I read Dare to be a Duchess last month and I loved that book so much. I gave it 5 stars. That book just gave me so many Canthony vibes, so Kate and Anthony from the Bridgerton Netflix series. And so I was really excited going into this one. So the plot centers around Sania and Isha. They are cousins of Laura, who was the heroine from Dare to be a Duchess. And so they are on the run from this really terrible man that wanted to marry Sania back when they were living in India. And so they just got on a ship and now they are in London. And so Sania knows that Laura is now married to a duke. And so she tries to visit Laura and her new husband, but they are, I think they're at their like country estate or something. And so because she really has no other choice because she has no money, she decides to try to just break into the house because she can't get in, like the butler won't let her in. So then we have our hero Nicholas, who is an earl. He's actually a really good friends with Tristan, who was the Duke from book 1. And so he just happens to be passing by in his carriage and he sees this woman trying to break into his friend's house. And so he decides to confront her and she turns around and pulls a dagger to his throat. And so that's their meet cute. I really enjoyed Nicholas and Sania's romance. It's very sweet, kind of insta-lovey, but I feel like it worked for the story. And the plot actually went in a really interesting direction. I would say around like the 75% mark. Like I thought that that was really well done. It's kind of a plot twist. Yeah, that was really cool. I definitely wasn't expecting anything like that from this book, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, gave it 4 stars. I thought that it was very solid. So yeah, I finished that late last night. And then in terms of what I've been reading today, I've been working my way through my Heir of Fire reread. Once again, this is book 3 in the Throne of Glass series. I have the dust jacket right here. I was just too lazy to put it on my book, but I'm currently on, I think I read about 100 pages so far today. So I'm on page like 406. That's chapter 47, and I am just loving this reread so much. The first time I read this book, I gave it 4.5 stars, and I definitely think I'm gonna give it 5 stars upon reread. It's just so cool rereading this series when I know generally where the plot is going. Like, I definitely have forgotten a lot of things in terms of this world and the plot points and, you know, details and things like that, but there are like general plot points that I still remember, and so it's really cool seeing the characters trying to figure out things that I already know, and, you know, I'm just picking up more and more details and just like interesting things about this world and about this series that I didn't pick up the first time that I read it. And then just a little while ago, maybe an hour or so ago, I started Love in the Afternoon by Lisa Kleypas. This is book 5 in her Hathaway series, so we're diving back on into historical romances. I'm on page 65, which is just about 20% of the way through. So the plot of this one is, I don't know, kind of a lot. So we have Beatrix. She's the youngest of the Hathaways, definitely the quirkiest as well. She loves taking care of animals. She reminds me so much of Penelope from The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. So if you love that book, you'd really enjoy this book as well. But this starts out as an epistolary romance, meaning that the hero and heroine are writing letters to each other. We have Beatrix, and her friend Prudence has been receiving letters from Christopher, our hero. He's been trying to court her while he is away at war. So he's been writing letters to her, but Prudence has not written anything back. And Prudence is kind of a shallow person, and she doesn't really plan on ever responding to Christopher's letters. And so Beatrix really feels for him, and so she reads the latest letter that Prudence received from him, and so she decides to write back to Christopher as Prudence. So there's definitely some deception going on. They write letters back and forth to each other for like 8 months or something like that. We kind of see a montage of letters that they write back and forth to each other. And I'm kind of surprised that the letter writing ended as quickly as it did, because like I said, I'm on page 65 and she's already cut off their relationship in terms of the letter writing because she just feels so guilty that she's not who he thinks that she is. And so now Christopher is back from war, and so I'm just excited to jump back on into this book because I can't wait to see the two of them actually interact in real life, and for him to figure out who this woman actually is that he's been writing letters to. And yeah, I just, man, this series, y'all, is so good. I've given every book 5 stars. There's just something so like cozy and comforting about this series in particular and these characters. I'm just obsessed with the Hathaways. And yeah, so I really don't have much more to say than that because like I said, I'm really not that far into the book, but I'll definitely update you guys at some point tomorrow, definitely once I finish this book. Happy or not so happy Sunday in my case. So I'm pretty sure I have COVID. I went and got tested earlier today, so the results are not back yet, but your girl is like 98% sure that it's COVID. You can probably hear in my voice, I don't sound amazing right now. I do have a sore throat. Shout out to Throat Coat Tea because that is saving my life right now. I've also had a fever since Friday, and I feel like today, like I said, it's Sunday, I feel like the fever is finally going away for good. I've been taking ibuprofen kind of around the clock to make that go away. And I have been feeling weak. I've just been not feeling great. So that's where we are. But at least I got some reading done. You know, that's always a good thing. So I did finish 2 books late last night. My sleep schedule has been so messed up, guys. I didn't get a wink of sleep last night. because I just couldn't get comfortable. Luckily, I just got up from a nap though. I slept for like 2 hours and oh my God, I needed that sleep so much, and I'm probably gonna go to bed early tonight. Like, sleep is what you need when you're sick, and yeah. So anyways, I finished Love in the Afternoon by Lisa Kleypas. I think I'm giving this 4.5 stars, which might be shocking to a lot of you because I know pretty much all my friends give this a solid 5-star rating, and I can see why, but for me personally, I felt like the pacing definitely slowed down in the second half, and while it did pick back up in the last 10%, I just can't ignore how it slowed down for me, you know, in the middle towards the end. There are a lot of things to love about this book. I don't know if I mentioned this in my last update because it's been a couple days, but you have to read this if you loved The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare, because Beatrix is totally giving me all the Penelope vibes, and I just love all the animals in this, and of course I love seeing all the Hathaways, and of course all the other siblings have found the loves of their lives. What's also really great is that we have our hero Christopher, who now is an ex-soldier, and so he's dealing with a lot of PTSD, and so I loved seeing Beatrix help him out with that. And then also Christopher had this dog, Albert. Let me see if I can find the sketch because it's pretty early in the book. There's Albert. Look at him. He was this little dog that Christopher found when he was off at war, and the dog ended up being an emotional support animal, not only for him but for like his whole regiment. And he was like he's a very smart dog, very helpful to them. And so, I mean, this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but at the end, the queen gives Christopher a medal for something that he does, but the queen also gave Albert a special collar for his service. Like, isn't that so adorable and wholesome? I can't. So cute. Really enjoyed this romance. Oh man, I love epistolary romances where there's letter writing between the hero and heroine. So good. What a great way to end this series. Even though it wasn't a perfect 5-star for me, it was still really great. Also, I bookmarked my favorite quote of the whole book. I have to read this to you guys. This is when Beatrix is getting ready to walk down the aisle and her brother Leo is getting ready to walk her down the aisle. And he says, when I give you away at the altar, B, I want you to remember something. I'm not really giving you away. I'm merely allowing him the chance to love you as much as the rest of us do. Isn't that the best thing to tell somebody when you're giving them away? Oh my God, so good, so good. All right, and then I did finish Heir of Fire late last night as well. Once again, book 3 in the Throne of Glass series. You guys know that I've been working my way through this reread throughout the week. I bumped my rating up to 5 stars. The first time that I read this, I gave it 4.5 stars, which I don't know what I was thinking, because I mean, Aelin and Rowan's character arcs alone are worth 5 stars, let alone everything else that's happening in this book. It was just such a great rereading experience, and I'm getting ready actually in about 25 minutes to go on the live show that is going to be on Tori's channel, where we will be discussing this book as well as The Assassin and the Desert, which is one of the prequel novellas. So yeah, if you want to know more of our in-depth thoughts about this book, definitely check out that live show. I did read the first 36 pages of Magnate by Joanna Shupe, and I have to say, I'm obsessed with this so far because the dynamic between Emmett, our hero, and Elizabeth, our heroine, is totally giving me vibes of Marion and Frank from The Rogue of Fifth Avenue, also by Joanna Shupe. That's book 1 in her Uptown Girl series. So if you enjoyed that book, I would highly recommend going to this one. It's about Elizabeth, who is trying to open her own stock brokerage firm, I guess is what you would call it. And Emmett's kind of her last hope in terms of getting an investor. And obviously it's not easy for her to get investors because she's a woman. This is 1887 in New York. But yeah, I'm already really enjoying this so far. It's giving me all the Joanna Shupe Gilded Age vibes that I need in my life right now. I'm gonna end the vlog here. I hope that you guys enjoyed my discussions about all the books that I read this week. I think overall I had a solid reading week. You know, Nobody's Duke was my first read of the readathon, and that was spectacular. And everything else I gave 4 stars, so that's a pretty good week in my opinion. Not the most amazing, but pretty darn good. And I would love it if you would leave a comment down below. If you also participated in this readathon, I'd love to know the books that you read, what were your favorites, what books you didn't like. And I don't know when I'm gonna have this video edited and uploaded because, as you can tell, I'm not doing too well. And I don't know that I have the mental capacity right now to fully edit this vlog. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get it uploaded within the next few days. But just know that I love you all, and I hope that you're having a great day, great week, whatever. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.